And it sounds like this plugin is the perfect bridge to kind of start introducing clients to the new technologies while not having to, break the budget.
Right, not going all in. It's just an easier approach to it. It is such a vast, different process, not just how you use it, but like your writers. Like there's a training aspect too, right? If you go from the old system to the new system, it is different. There is a learning curve, and once they get into the new system, they're going to love it. But you need to factor that in. If you're in a newsroom and you roll it out to every single person all at once, well, you have to train everybody all at once too. So there's a lot of different ways. We even have clients using it just for landing pages. They have no intention of ever removing it. It's just so they can run a different theme just for their marketing campaigns. And they're just, releasing and publishing landing pages in a matter of hours, when before it would take weeks because developers would have to come in behind them and write all the code and styling and get these images to align correctly because it's all in that WYSIWYG editor that's very hard to work with. So really rapidly increase what they're able to do from a marketing campaign too. So a lot of use cases, and we got a lot of this outlined on the website. People can check out ThemeSwitcher.com.
Hey everybody, it's Roger with Kinsta. I'm joined today by a new friend, Brad. Hey Brad, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Roger.
Absolutely, man. We're doing it live.
We're doing it
as
live.
they say. Brad, we met briefly at PressConf, got to talk a little bit and have some fun conversations, but I don't really know your origin story and how you got into digital marketing and WordPress and all that stuff. So if you don't mind taking us back, like how did Brad get into all of this?
Origin story, it's so formal, like a movie or some villain story. I don't know. I've definitely been in the industry for a while, but I've always been into computers, and that's really, I think, probably where many of us have sparked, right? Just an interest in computers. And being of a certain age, back before computers were everywhere and prevalent, you had like one computer in the classroom if you were lucky, like an Apple IIe or something.
Yeah.
So very much kind of had to learn on my own. My first computer was a Commodore 64.
Nice.
The first one I can remember. The family bought it off my cousin. I actually have all of my discs behind me from that system. I'm trying to figure out how to digitize them and convert them into an emulator for some old games that I don't think exist anywhere anymore.
Okay.
But that's what piqued my interest in just like developing, because I can vividly remember probably being about 8 years old and had this massive like basic programming book for Commodore 64. Could barely understand even the first few pages, but I went through a tutorial that was like, guess the number 1 through 10. And I built a little program, just literally typing what was on the page into the Commodore 64 and got it to work. And I had a guess the number game. And that, I think, honestly, from that day on, like, I knew I would always be involved in computers, even though it was hard to find early on, like classes and courses. And, you're talking late 80s, early 90s. There just wasn't a lot of it. But I knew I wanted to absorb everything I could about them and take any class I could find. And, my mom was taking me like community college classes when I was in high school because they just didn't exist. And that just snowballed into high school and getting more into computers and learning about HTML on the web using a program some may be familiar with called PageMill.
Oh.
Which is the Mac version of Front Page. So I was like an early Mac guy back when it was not cool at all. I actually got made fun of. You're a nerd when like you're getting made fun of because you're on a Mac and not a PC. That's like another level of nerdism, I think. But what I mean? Now they're cool. They've been cool for a long time, but in the 90s, they were not cool.
Yeah, no,
Macs
totally.
were not cool.
System 7 and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So I started building out some websites on there, and just the idea of putting something online. I think it was like Angel Fires or GeoCity, but then going to school and showing my friends, like, I built this website, like I put this content on this page, right? Like it just was kind of mind blowing to all of us because, the internet was so new. And then that just, again, I fell in love with the web. So I knew I'd probably be working on the web for the rest of my life. And luckily, I was able to self-identify that school was probably not the best route for me coming out of high school. I wasn't really focused on studies. I love computers, but failed at basically everything else because I just wasn't interested. So I was like, I need to find something with computers, but I don't really want to go to school, which is a challenge. So I ended up going into the military and joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. But I went in with the computer specialty focus. And so you don't know exactly what you're going to do, but it's going to be computer related. And they end up testing you. And based on your test is where they place you. And they tested me to be a programmer, which is like 5% of, I think, people in those fields in the military at the time anyways. Very select group just based on how our minds work, I guess, and the test I took. And so I said, hey, this must be meant to be. So they taught me to be a legit programmer with like training and how to connect databases to websites and do things that, I had never done before. So that, that really catapulted it. And from that point on, it was all about the web and just building really cool websites.
Very cool. Rewinding back a little bit here, lots to unpack.
Yeah.
I wasn't a Commodore. I had the Tandy with the 5.5-inch floppies.
Oh, yeah.
We were pretty fancy. We had 2 disk drives in ours.
That's how you copy them.
Oh, man, you know it. You know it. All right. And then when you're in the military, I mean, that had to be a fantastic experience. I'm trying to picture it. Were you using like those Panasonic rugged laptops at all?
Like it's funny because I tell people that, oh, as a developer in the Marine Corps, and they're like, really? Like the Marine Corps has programmers? That's kind of baffling. And to be fair, I don't think they do anymore. I'm pretty sure my job was eliminated for contractors. So, civilians that will, replace military because some areas it's just hard for the military to keep up or it doesn't make sense. So they'll just bring in contractors.
Sure.
But at the time, yeah, they trained us on it. They taught us on it. It was, we had laptops. It was very much a 9 to 5 job for the most part. Went to school right out of boot camp, and that's where they really teach you your specialty. So that's where we went to like programming school and were taught by other Marines that understood development. That's where I learned like conditional statements and arrays and like really important programming concepts that you still use today. Just different languages, right? We're using Ada, which is a really archaic language, and Visual Basic like 6 and 7 at the time. So just older stuff because it was the military and government's always a little behind. But we were using, we started kind of focusing on more modern stuff. So when I got into they actually got into my unit, they were on like Lotus Notes and Domino, and we actually started moving them over to like classic ASP and eventually .NET. So getting them on some more modern stuff and just building websites for what was called the CIPRNet, which is like the largest internet outside of the internet. It's a closed, secure internet for government and military, which you have to have a security clearance to be on it. It's called the CIPRNet. So I built tons of stuff on the CIPRNet that I couldn't show anybody, but it was a lot of fun. So.
Show us your portfolio. It's all black.
Yeah, I can tell you about it, but can't really show you.
Very cool. So you get out of the military and you realize, okay, I like this computer stuff. I like these website things, and WordPress just falls into your lap. How did this happen?
Yeah, kind of inadvertently, which is probably for most of us, right? Like I remember going to, I was working at an e-commerce, company, and I went to a search engine strategy show in Chicago. This was like 2006, and I remember everyone had a blog. Everybody was talking about their blog, had a blog, content's king, writing about whatever things you're passionate about. Even if it's on the side of your business, just have a blog. And I was like, well, I don't have a blog. I felt way behind. So that night, I had my hotel room. I was like looking up blog software, and WordPress kind of popped up. This is 2006, so very much blog. It was still early, but it was one of the ones out there. And so I installed it, and that was, the rest is history. I'm a tinkerer, so of course it's code. I immediately want to start, oh, there's plugins. What do these things do? And I'm hacking Hello Dolly, and I'm like, this is a cool tool. So then when decided to start WebDevStudios officially in 2008, leaned more into open source. So WordPress was one of the platforms, but we did Drupal and Magento and some other stuff, Zencart, if you remember. But ultimately, really started focusing on WordPress. Wanted to be really the best at one platform. And, I gravitated towards it. The other developers I was working with really liked it. Our clients really liked it. It was very intuitive for them. And as it became more of a full-fledged CMS, it was just the only tool we wanted to use. And that was in 2010. We just went all in on WordPress and said, "Yep, that's all we're going to use is WordPress." And then it's helped with the marketing because we can just focus. We are a WordPress agency fully, right? So, and have never really looked back. Can continue to grow and with the ups and downs of online and open source and everything that comes with it. But still are very much big fans of WordPress, and it's what we use day in and day out.
Excellent. Excellent. Speaking of plugins, you've got a new product that came out, the ThemeSwitcher. Can you talk to us a little bit about this and what sparked this?
Yeah, absolutely. So ThemeSwitcher Pro is our new plugin. You can check it out at themeswitcher.com. And what it allows you to do in a very basic concept is run multiple WordPress themes on a single WordPress website. So this idea really stemmed from work we're doing with our clients. One of the most common challenges that we hear from leads and clients walking in the door is they're on classic WordPress. They may like their site overall, their design, maybe they like it, maybe they don't. But the big crux of the issue is they're on the classic editor. They're still using the WYSIWYG editor. They don't know how to get to the block editor. And the traditional way to do that is to rebuild the whole website, right? Let's rebuild your website. We'll pick a theme or we'll design a custom theme for you, build it up from the ground up. Well, the landscape's changed the last couple of years. We're getting those bigger dollar amounts approved to rebuild a website so they can use the block editor. That's a hard sell to the executives up the chain, So we started devising a way we could selectively replace templates. So we did this with a few clients with a lot of success, and they absolutely loved it. So we ended up deciding, let's productize this. Let's build this out in a plugin that not only we can use, but other people can use, right? So the idea is you can take a theme off the shelf like Ollie, a big fan of Ollie, block-based theme. Whatever your website is now, you can take Ollie, install Ollie, download it, put it in your themes directory, use ThemeSwitcher Pro, and start creating new content using Ollie immediately. So it loads all of Ollie in the backend, all the code, all the patterns, everything that you expect to be in Ollie is there. because it's running true Ollie, but it's only running it where you tell it to run. It could be a single page, maybe a landing page, maybe you want to replace your home page, or it could be more global. We had a client where 95% of their traffic was on their single article page. So we replaced that page first, one template replacement, all blocks, and it had a massive effect on their performance, the way their content, the writers were creating the content, how much better the content could be with blocks and patterns. So it's a huge game changer. It gives clients, it gives website owners, it gives agency freelancers, it gives you another tool in your toolbolt of ways to help either you or your clients or partners get to the block editor in more of an iterative fashion. Just take smaller bites versus one massive bite, which is hard to do these days.
Sure.
Really a cool tool. We got some neat videos on YouTube you should check out if you're interested, because it shows like going from classic, here's a site running classic WYSIWYG editor, and as soon as you change that theme and create a new page just for that one page, it immediately flips to the block editor. And it's kind of that cool light bulb moment of this is a game changer. It can help people get to the block editor, and that's how we get people to stay on WordPress, is get them on modern WordPress. So it's a big part of our mission, and we're hoping other people want to look at this tool and use it for their clients as a tool in their tool to bring more services and ideas that could potentially open up more work for them within their own clients. So
I love it, man. I love it. This sounds like the unlock, right? Especially like the use case you're talking about. You're stuck in a classic editor site. Maybe it's okay, it works, but you need to get to the block editor. There's just so much more there from a user perspective, from a technology perspective. And it sounds like this plugin is the perfect bridge to kind of start introducing clients to the new technologies while not having to, break the budget.
Right. Not going all in. It's just an easier approach to it. It is such a vast, different process, not just how you use it, but like your writers, like there's a training aspect too, right? If you go from the old system to the new system, it is different. There is a learning curve. And once they get into the new system, they're going to love it. But you need to factor that in. If you're in a newsroom and you roll it out to every single person all at once, well, you have to train everybody all at once too. So there's a lot of different ways. We even have clients using it just for landing pages. They have no intention of ever removing it. It's just so they can run a different theme just for their marketing campaigns. And they're just, releasing and publishing landing pages in a matter of hours, when before it would take weeks, because developers would have to come in behind them and write all the code and styling and get these images to align correctly, because it's all in that WYSIWYG editor that's very hard to work with. So really rapidly increase what they're able to do from a marketing campaign too. So a lot of use cases, and we got a lot of this outlined on the website. People can check out ThemeSwitcher.com.
Sweet. We will get people in there. We're sending the traffic now.
Awesome.
Brad, I keep these really short and sweet, but I'd love to get you back on another episode and talk more about your thoughts on where WordPress is going. In the meantime, though, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best place for them to find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm on all the major social networks, Twitter, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, Brad Williams. Look me up. I'm pretty active talking about WordPress and tech and geek. Very approachable. Please reach out if you have questions, if you want to try out ThemeSwitcher or anything around WordPress. Been around this industry for a while, seen a lot of things, good and bad and come and go. So I always like just geeking out, and that's why like things like PressConf, meeting you, Roger, and others is always such a good time, and trying to get back to more of that, because we don't get enough of that these days, right? So
Absolutely.
Good FaceTime goes a long way.
Absolutely. Brad, I appreciate your time,
Yeah.
and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Roger.